Hello friends, today I am in San Luis Obispo at a Tesla Supercharger with the 2026 Subaru Trailseeker, and we're going to find out just how long this car takes to go from 10 to 80%. My name is Andrew, and this is EverCars. Before we start today's video, my name is Andrew Lambrecht. I'm a project engineer here at Ever, and I'm also a contributor at Inside EVs and Business Insider covering electric vehicles. If you're new to the brand, we are Ever, America's largest independent EV store. We have an inventory of several hundred used electric vehicles, and if you're interested in selling your current EV, visit evercars.com to get a cash offer within minutes. That is evercars.com. Now let's explore the charging curve of the 2026 Subaru Trailseeker. To kick off this overview, here's some information you need to know regarding our testing procedures. So we drove this car roughly 4 hours before pulling up to this supercharger, and I preconditioned the car's battery pack 20 minutes before plugging in. We arrived to the Tesla Supercharger at 9% battery, and I started the timer exactly when the vehicle's display signified that we were at 10%, and then stopped the timer immediately when we reached 80%. So that's kind of our overall testing procedures, and we're also going to talk about the charging curve and a lot more information once we get that. So once I'm able to dissect this charging curve, we will discuss that. But for now, those are our testing procedures, and let's see how long this car takes to go from 10 to 80%. All right, the Trailseeker has reached 80%. Now let's go back to the office and discuss. All right, we are back in the office, and now it's time to dissect the charging curve on the Subaru Trailseeker. So this car has a 150 kilowatt peak charge rate, and right now we are just playing the full charging session so you can see the screen. Now, a few notes. First off, the screen is a little dirty, and that's because we were off-roading the Subaru Trailseeker to get some of our off-road video footage. And then also, this screen is always a little weird in eTNGA products. So this is like the Toyota BZ, Lexus, RZ, 550e, or actually the entire lineup, and the whole Subaru EV lineup. And this is a weird screen because it keeps telling you that the door's open, so you can't really record a proper charging curve on this car just because the screen is always flashing between the open door. So I'm literally sitting there, I'll open up the door, and then I can see the screen because it'll turn on. But then if I close the door for too long, then the screen goes blank. So I'm just sitting there in the parking lot, opening and closing the door every 30 seconds or so, just so we can see the total charging session on the car, because if I left the door closed, it would just go blank. So I really wish Toyota would think of, and Subaru as well, would think of a better solution to seeing the charging display when your car is plugged in, perhaps on the larger screen and not just on the small gauge cluster, because it would be really nice just to see a better display. But I do really appreciate their efforts because we can see the instantaneous power coming in the car. We can also see what the car is requesting, and we can see our range with the air conditioner on and then the range with the air conditioner off. So this is pretty nice. But I do really appreciate all the information in the screen, just wish it was a little easier to see. But so far this charging session is really good. We never quite get to that 150 kilowatt peak charge rate, but the charging curve is really good and it just tapers off very slowly, which is nice to see. In fact, right now we are at 65% stated charge and we're still pulling over 100 kilowatts. I like to use Teslas for a baseline just because I have a Tesla Model 3. And my Model 3 has a 250 kilowatt peak charge rate, but by the time you're at 50% stated charge, it's typically only at 100 kilowatts. So we're seeing pretty healthy charging numbers deep into the charging session, which I really appreciate. Right now, we are approaching that 80% mark, and we're still pulling in over 75 kilowatts, which is really, really good. And there we go, 80%. We passed the 80% mark, still pulling in 75 kilowatts. And now our charging test is done. So we actually performed several charging tests with this car. This is one where I actually set up my GoPro just to record the car's screen. As the other ones, I didn't really do that. I just used a timer, but I know everyone really appreciates just seeing the car's display. So this is one I wanted to use for the video. Now, moving over another tab, we can see Basically just all the numbers that we've recorded, what point in time we were in the charging session. Now we start the timer at 10%, just keep that in mind. So even though we get into the charging station at times as low as 1 or 0%, this one was about 7%. We do always start the timer at 10% and then record up to 80%. And then we record the instantaneous power in kilowatts coming into the battery pack. And we will record the average power throughout the 10 to 80% charging duration. In this case, it was 120 kilowatts. And then we will also record the maximum power rate we've seen, which is 143 kilowatts. And there are all our data points. Now, moving over one other tab, we can see our charging curve. So let's go full screen here. And we can see our charging curve. Very, very healthy numbers across the board. And we can see that we're pulling in over 130 kilowatts till the 41% stated charge mark, which is a really nice thing to see. And then we can see how far we are holding 100 kilowatts all the way up to the 65% stated charge mark. Just a really nice taper rate on this car. Now we're gonna move over one screen and then we can see our 10 to 80% charging time. Keep in mind, Subaru says it should take 28 minutes in this car. We got 25 minutes and 36 seconds. So we were able to really easily beat Subaru's charging claim. And as a quick backup, we did precondition this car's battery pack before this charging test, as we do with all our vehicles that we charge test. But still, 25 minutes and 36 seconds is a really, really impressive number, especially for a 400 volt EV. It's not like this car is a small battery pack either. It's around 75 kilowatt hours, which is similar to what you get in a standard range Ford Mustang Mach-E. A little bit lower capacity than what you get in a Hyundai Ioniq 5 or Volkswagen ID4, but still 25 minutes, 36 seconds, 10 to 80%, super easy with the Tesla Supercharging network. I just unlock the charger from the app, plug in, and then it makes a handshake with the car, and then we are charging. But 25 minutes, 36 seconds, a very impressive number. And then we can see our 10 to 80% power and our maximum power. And our final graph shows us charging time in minutes on the x-axis, power in kilowatts on the left y-axis, and then state of charge in terms of percentage on the right y-axis. So here you can see how long you're gonna have to spend at the charging station to add a certain amount of energy. So you can see this all here. Also, if you want to see these graphs more in depth, you can always visit our website, evercars.com/resources, where you can have access to all our charging information. And on a similar note, we've been doing these charging tests just to get a better idea of how these cars perform in real world conditions. Ideally, we want to populate our website with all these 10 to 80% charging times we have recorded. But the thing is, we can't really go off of the manufacturer's numbers. The peak charge rate the manufacturer tells us basically nothing, because the charging curve is so much more important than what that peak charging rate is. Now, the peak charging rate is a little important because maybe if you want to charge up to like 20%, you just get in, you just need a little bit of juice to go to wherever you're going, then that might be important. But for the vast majority of circumstances, you're going to be charging much longer than that. And the peak charging rate doesn't really matter because the area under the curve is just so much more important for your actual charging performance. So that's why we're doing these tests. We just want to provide this information, and we can see that some cars do really well, like the Subaru Trailseeker. So this car has a really impressive charging curve, and I think we can easily recommend this as a road tripper. You get around 250 miles of real world range. This is what I've seen in my driving with this car. So you can go pretty far in this car. In fact, I made it all the way from the San Francisco Bay Area down to San Luis Obispo on California Route 1 in this car without having to stop to charge at all. And then once you do plug in, you will have a pretty quick charging session. And if you enjoyed today's video, please press the like and subscribe button and stay tuned for more EV reviews, news, and comparisons. And just remember, once we hit 50,000 subscribers, we're gonna send one of my coworkers to outer space on a rocket ship. Thank you for watching.